Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for popping in. I just have a little time, so I wanted to do a quick one, if I could, to tell you about some crazy dreams from last night. Um, I think I know why I had them too, because I've been working on my next book, and I'm laughing because the more I work on it, it's like going down these rabbit holes of strange strangeness in the universe. And I have to be a little careful, I think, because I will so deeply ponder subjects that I think sometimes they absorb me, they suck me in, and that's like going down a rabbit hole, and I have trouble getting out sometimes. So last night and for the last several nights, I've been working on a couple chapters about the nature of God, which is really risky to do because people have such personal ideas about God. And I may come on at another time and tell you a little bit about them for your opinion, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. And I don't even know if I'll end up keeping them, just because I'm not sure what the purpose of them will be other than just like my own intellectual curiosity. Anyway, so the fact that I've been writing so much lately, I think I've been down deep in the rabbit hole, and I've noticed my connectivity has been really high. And so, like when I get into bed at night, many evenings in the last week, as soon as I start to almost lapse into sleep, I'll feel like connection to spirit and get that little head bobbing thing, like somebody tapping in here, and I get the swirling colors like that are kind of like chakra colors, higher chakra colors, and so that's weird enough. But I'm used to that. But in the dreams last night, there were so many I can't even remember them all. But the one that popped out, I only just remembered it a few minutes ago, was about, I guess you could say, multiple dimensions or maybe multiple timelines. And it is not my favorite subject. I'm not that interested in whether that's true or not, whether there really are like multiple versions of ourselves running around at the same time as we're in this version of ourselves, this timeline. So, but hey, I'll just tell you what I experienced, and you can make of it what you will. So in this dream, it was just me and a friend, and I was aware that it was like maybe like a year ago, but it's a conversation that never actually took place in my actual life. I was with a friend, and we were talking about some stuff, and I was relating how I was about to make some big decision in my life. I don't remember what it was, but I made the decision and I went forward with my life, and it flowed from there, and it went in the direction I had chosen. Then in the same dream, suddenly I was right back at that juncture again. Like it was like somebody hit the rewind button, and I was right back uh, a year again, to that same spot. And this time, I made a different choice about which way forward I was going to go. And then I noticed that my path had immediately diverged, and I was in a different direction, and everything that I had remembered as occurring after, for the year after I made the first choice was now gone because I was on the path of the second choice. And it was just so strange because it was sort of like apropos of nothing. It came from nowhere, or, or again, maybe by writing so much about the nature of things and my ideas about the universe, I am sort of like accidentally tapping little things, little strange things that are out there. Or I'm tapping strange energies that want to come in and play with my brain and drop dreams in. That's why I can't say that it's a confirmation that there are whatever multiple timelines and multiple realities. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that when I am deep, when I get down deep into this metaphysical stuff and I write about it extensively, it seems to open a Pandora's box inside me that connects me to something, to different energies. So there was that dream, and it was very strange. And I'm trying to remember what the other dreams even were offhand, but there were lots of surprises and strangeness, and um, I just, if I remember more, I'll come back on. But that one really stood out. I would be curious to know what anybody thinks of that. Because, like I said, I don't love the idea that, like some physicists think they've found within quantum physics proof that all realities that can exist do exist. Like that in every moment of every person's life, all the choices that are available in a quantum universe do happen, and we just experience one of them. Like the experience that I'm having right now with you is on one track, and then other experiences are on other tracks. Like maybe there's a timeline where I don't make this video, and then the choices that follow that. And like I said, I don't know. I don't know why the idea just does not appeal to me, but the dream is related to it. So enough about that. Um, the path that I might as well mention it while I'm here. The chapters. Well, oh, here's the other thing that was really funny yesterday. So we're here in Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills had a big football game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which they lost. And I was watching the first half of the game at my brother's house, and the Bills were getting killed. It was like 24-3, I think, after the first half, and we all abandoned ship. And then I went home, took a shower, and I started writing again. And when I just thought, I'll just see what's going on the tube, and I popped the TV on, and it was just running in the background, and I was writing. I was writing about the nature of God. Okay, I was imagining. Actually, to be honest, I was trying to imagine God before the universe. And as I was writing, and it was coming pretty fluidly, and I started to feel kind of connected, and it seemed like the words were coming through me, not like dictation, but there was a flow that was a little more, that felt a little more magical than usual. And as I'm continuing this writing, the football game where the Bills were losing by 20, 21 points, they start catching up in the game. Like they start scoring very quickly. Like they scored a few touchdowns within a couple minutes of the game, and like then they started to dominate on defense, and like I can't. It's really weird. I know I'm suggesting something really strange. That I'm like typing this very intense, fun, creative thing, and I'm down deep in my zone. And then like everything good is happening in the game at the same time suddenly, whereas it had all been going wrong up until that point. And I kept writing, and I decided not to break from the writing to watch the game for two reasons. Because I was getting somewhere with the writing, I felt, and also because I had this weird feeling that there was a connection that I can't prove between the energy that I was feeling and the energy of the game, like things turning positively from for my preferences, as a Buffalo Bills fan, which is ridiculous. Again, this is ridiculous to even suggest that they're connected, but what the hell do I know? So I'm plugging along on my laptop. The Bills managed to actually tie this game at 27, like in the last minutes of the game, and it goes to overtime. And then I kind of reach a natural breaking point in the writing. Like I kind of, okay, I've tapped that feeling out for now. I can't get any further. And then what I will do is when I get stuck somewhere, I'll give it a rest, and I'll either come back in, later in the day and try to resume at the same point, or I'll even let it sit for a few days or longer just to kind of reset my brain and come back fresh, and also to check and see if what I've written makes any sense and is worth keeping, because sometimes it's not. So I stopped writing to watch the end of the game, and then they lost. So so in the entire time that I had been writing, it was all going well, and then when I made the mistake of pausing to actually watch the game, turn my attention towards it, then it went to pot. on a very fluky play, and then it was over like that. Like all the energy had been with the Bills for like, I don't know, 45 minutes, and they were just crushing it, and you were like, oh my God, they're going to win. And then, boom, it was just broken, that energy, and they lost. Connected? I don't know. I don't know. See, I want to be careful with these kinds of things because for lots of reasons. If if someone were to come up to you and tell you, whatever, what I just told you, I was writing yesterday, and when I was writing in the flow, the team was winning, and then when I wasn't in the flow, they weren't winning. Like, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, like, get over yourself, or like, but it was just really funny, and it felt related, but it might not be. But that dream of the time loop was definitely interesting, and all the dreams last night were all over the place, and like I said, I wish I could remember more of them. And as far as writing about God, that is a very touchy subject. The way I try to present it in the book is that these are just my ideas. These are just maybe possibilities. They're not necessarily how it is. I'm just trying to kind of think it through with my own intuition and feeling. And I guess you could say that the premise of a couple of the chapters is that before the universe, when there was presumably just God, that God may not have actually even been self aware at first. God was just sort of a silent entity that was all that was. But God existed in a kind of perfect silent unity, um, without thought or action. And then, for an unknown reason, something ruptures that silence, and God suddenly is awake and begins to ponder himself, herself, itself. And in so doing, God ruptures the unity of self and creates duality, because God then is both the subject and the object at the same time. Like, when you think about yourself, or when you look at yourself in the mirror and you ponder yourself, you are you are having a relationship with yourself. So in a sense, that's a form of duality. Whereas animals in nature, like squirrels, and pets like cats and dogs, and this was an Eckhart Tolle idea that I recently came across that I found very interesting. These animals do not have a relationship with themselves. They have a kind of unity of self because they don't ponder themselves the way we do as people. So when the animal behaves the way it behaves, it acts from its unity. And there's an ignorance in there too, but it's not a harmful ignorance. It's kind of a blissful ignorance. They don't know they were born. They don't know they will die. They don't really know what they are even. And so I was likening God in God's original state as being more like that, an unconscious unity of self. And then by becoming self aware, God suddenly has changed. The nature of God is changed by this, and God then begins to observe itself and says, what am I? And how do I exist? And am I alone? And God has this sort of existential experience. And when God discovers that God is alone, but all powerful, then the loneliness of God leads to experiments in creating other things, other creations, and eventually other intelligent life like itself. Um, so as maybe to have something to do, but also maybe to um, cure God's own loneliness, by having creatures with that have their own free will, but which God can essentially kind of look over and take care of and nurture. And so all of this reality exists within God. Like, think of God as like God has some computer like aspects in God's intelligence. So it's kind of like the universe runs on God, the computer. But God's more than that too, because God is creative and emotional, because love is the kind of foundation of all good things. And God either evolves to the position that love is the best sort of choice, best way to live, because altruism, selflessness is high vibrational and helps everything run better, like helps the reality computer program run better. Now, see, I'm talking a bit in not paradoxical terms, but it's getting a little mushy even as I'm starting to talk about it, and that's the peril of trying to write about it. But that was my idea, that maybe God was alone and initially unaware, then awake, and then lonely, and then began to create, and eventually created us and the universe. And the duality that God experienced when God recognized itself is mirrored in our duality. Like we have a universe of duality, light and dark, good and evil, joy and pain, all these dualities, and that's sort of mirrored in the construction of the universe too, because when you have the Big Bang and it's all the matter in the universe compacted into like a infinitely small white hot ball essentially, and it explodes outward into the darkness of emptiness, that light gets spread, and then you eventually end up with stars that coalesce, which exist in darkness, which is the duality again. Like the light shines in the void of all other light, which is darkness, blackness. And so even the idea of duality is reflected in the way the universe exists. So, like I said, problematic to go down those trails to try to write about, but that's where my thinking is on the God chapter. So I didn't expect necessarily to share that, but if you have any thoughts on that, if you think even if you think it's baloney and not really a worthwhile use of my time, you can say so. Um, but yeah, that's where my brain is at, and so somehow something's going on at night, because the dreams have been tied to the writing in an unusual way. So I'm gonna be a little careful too, because I think it is possible to go down rabbit holes and not come out. So um, I'm gonna be mindful of that. But that's what's going on. So I hope everybody is well. It is just a tragedy about the Kentucky tornadoes. I was just wow, just stunned, and we had a lot of wind. Was it Saturday that it was really windy here, but not so bad. I think we were up to maybe 40, 50 miles an hour, which is strong, but it's nothing like what they experienced there. And I can't even imagine that. That is just scary, because yeah, I mean, I can feel my house shake at about 50 miles an hour, and that's like, okay, all right, get it. So we pray for the people in Kentucky that that they're able to recover and hopefully find their loved ones amongst the wreckage. So, okay, I'll be back again soon, and take care, be well, and thanks for tuning in.